Here's our last speaker. We have one more anonymous story from the audience. The loss of a parent has dramatically changed my outlook and attitude toward life into one that does not allow me to be as negative about trivial things that I experience. Thank you to whoever that was. Our last speaker is one of our beloved PCAs. You may have seen her around. She is from Cincinnati, Ohio, and she is going to be telling us a story called The Tint of a Trespasser. Please give it up for Alyssa Gerth.
Thank you for the people who created this space. It's filling a huge void in our community. And I want to say to you all here, Ubuntu, I am because you are. The crisp rays of the noontime sun tap me on my shoulder, and it's a reminder of its gentle and fun-loving nature. I hold my notebook inches from my face as I'm walking, and I notice the sweat droplets forming on my wrists. It's the midst of summer, and the heat is real, and I love it. And it reminds me of the African blood running through my veins. My legs felt real strong as they were exposed to the wind, wearing the same, very same outfit. My shoulders were bare. I was making continuous laps with a slow, steady pace around my neighborhood streets. I remember hearing the sounds of the geese falling into the pond, talking to each other. I remember listening as the fountain of the pond sprayed up into the sky and sprinkled down to the water. The pond was enclosed behind the neighborhood backyards of the homes in which I lived. I looked down at my feet, seeing the pavement move underneath me and the gravel shuffling underneath. I noticed a little red ladybug land on my notebook. Hi, tiny little red ladybug. And it flies away. Good day to you. I notice a woman walking her dog. I look up. I smile at her. She smiles at me. I look at the left side of my notebook because this is where I've created my self-made quiz questions for boards. I look down at my feet. Think. Ah, yes. I got it right again. I remember feeling the utmost peace at this time, just days away from me taking boards. The long haul through winter, spring, and now summer, I never believed that I could feel this much peace. And everything was coming together, and I was ready to crush boards. I rear around the corner where the clubhouse is, and I see a red car pull into the spaces. And I think to myself, no one ever parks there. He must be lost. But as fast as the thought came, it went. I keep my pace, past a couple houses, very excited about reaping all the recall benefits of this kinesthetic movement and knowing that my hippocampus was going to show out on test day. I look at my notebook. I look down at my feet. Think. I notice that the gravel underneath my feet is growing a little louder. And to my left, I see that red car creep up right beside me. There's a man in the driver's seat, pulls down his window. I think, he was lost. Hi, do you need help? I say. He looks at me. I look at him. He says, do you live here? Before I have any chance to answer, he says, if you don't live here, you're trespassing. This is private property. I'm stunned. I don't know what to say. He says, do you live here? Yeah, I live here. Well, then where do you live? I live here. Something inside me is telling me, don't tell him where he lives. And he says, well, what's your address then? I'm thinking so many thoughts in my head, but nothing's formulating. Maybe he's one of those people who goes around and asks little kids if they want candy and he just snatches them up. He could very well be a George Zimmerman and just shoot me right then and there. because of his fear of my existence. Could he be the police? Is he just patrolling these streets in street clothes? Am I supposed to comply? Am I supposed to tell him my address? He looks at me, I look at him. He says, if you don't tell me your address right now, I'm calling the police. 6704 Liberty Way, I say. And I realize in that moment that my fear of the police being called about a colored roaming the streets in the suburb clearly outweighs my fear of this man right now. He says, okay, well, I thought you were from those other neighborhoods, they're not allowed over here, this is private property. He rolls up his window and he drives away. I drop my notebook. I no longer hear the sounds of the geese, no longer hear the calming sounds of the water fountain. I no longer care about the sun breezing over my shoulders. All of the peace that was just rooming around all of my senses just moments ago was gone. It's taken. Stolen. So I pick up my notebook and I just run. I run towards my house. And on the way in the distance, I see that woman walking her dog. The red car passed her. He didn't stop her. I run up my driveway, I run into the door and I slam the door. I run into my bedroom and I slam the bedroom door and I collapse into my bed. And I put the pillow over my face as to suffocate my pain, and I just cried. I started giving this man every benefit of the doubt that I could think of, but none of my calculations were adding up. I thought about that woman. Why didn't he stop her? It could have been her age. She was a little bit older than me, and maybe she looked like a homeowner. But it wasn't my age because he could not assess my age from the back. All he saw was my strong black legs, my bare brown shoulders, my curly-headed afro in the back. That is all he needed to see to evaluate me and to claim that I was criminal enough and to assess my worth to that, and apparently that wasn't worth that much. A little of me died that day. It sucked the life out of my bored, ready soul. My worth was equated to my skin, and apparently, like I said, just wasn't worth that much, and that's how I felt. The days leading up to boards, about only 72 hours, I ruminated on this experience over and over again, what I could have, should have, would have said. I knew that if this ever happened to me again, I knew I would get it right. I would know exactly what to say. Boards came and went. Who knows how that experience affected my confidence, self-worth, whatever. I did fine. In fact, I did excellent. And maybe that's from years of having experiences just like this that bred the resilience and grit that I needed to succeed on board day. However, that experience was just another reminder of why I am not enough in this world to some people. So a few days after boards, it's a beautiful summer day, and I want to go on a walk, but I'm afraid. My partner's here, and he says, Alyssa, you ain't gonna let the white man control your movements. You wanna take a walk, you're gonna take a walk. So we take a walk, and we're walking, and I'm thinking to myself, maybe it was not the best idea to bring a 6'5" black man with me on this walk. But it was what it was. So we round the corner of the clubhouse, and I see an older man near the bushes with his dog, allowing his dog to pee in the bushes. He sees us and he stops dead in his tracks, and he shuffles down the sidewalk and stops within shouting distance of us and says, "Do you folks live here?" I was frozen. Now remember, I had practiced exactly what I was going to say if this ever happened again, knowing that this is going to happen again. It was a few days later and this was happening again, and I wasn't ready. My partner said, "Do you live here?" And he said, "Of course I live here." My partner took my hand and we started to speed walk around the bend. He started to follow us, continually asked us, "Do you live here?" We didn't say anything. We just walked faster. We just walked faster. Eventually he stopped, but he kept staring at us as if to monitor if we were going to walk into one of the homes. And we did. We walked right inside and we collapsed on the couch and we just sat there. And I felt the warmth of my partner's blood boiling underneath his skin as we just sat in silence and stared into the abyss. Integration was the future, they said. They said it would cure everything. I don't believe that. See, when you force diversity upon people that don't want you there or aren't ready for it, it breeds resentment in them because they feel like their power is being taken away. In communities so many of these communities were created with a power structure to maintain a certain type of control to keep certain people out. And you know, Trump wants to build this wall, but there's so many walls already in place. You go through life never feeling like you really belong. And no matter how many good people are in those spaces, the feeling never really leaves. For me, try to escape that feeling. I don't walk in my neighborhood anymore. See, I'm not trying to put myself in the lion's den when I ain't trying to fight. And if I'm forced to fight, I could just be killed. Whether they kill your spiritual body or your physical body, the killer will probably get off free. Don't even worry about it. So if my analysis is correct of how I can stay safe and sane in my spaces, and especially in my neighborhood, I'll take the treadmill in my gloomy, dim-lit, and suffocating basement on a beautiful summer day to escape the anxiety and threat of judgment, pain, harm, or even death from a simple stroll down the street.